like a fool. He is getting all his high school previews squared away. He's our next guest here on the Pete Thompson Show. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
You're right about the typing. My arm is sore. I got to ease back into the season at my age right here with all the typing I've been doing the last couple of days.
Now, let me see if I have this right. So far, if I'm looking at your Twitter, and that's at AC Press McGarry, ACPRESSMCGARRY. Looks like you've got St. Joe, Mainland, Gami, Millville, Hamilton, and Holy Spirit so far.
Yeah, I think Vineland's been up there. I think St. Augustine's up there. I think if you go to the website today, they're all in one place right there. So you can just scroll through. We'll be posting them, rolling them out a couple each day. And, of course, on the season starts, 2 weeks from yesterday.
Wow.
And on August 29th, we'll have that, that annual special section in the actual real live paper that we put out every year. We were over at St. Augustine, I believe on Thursday. I was over there with two great kids, Isaiah Rakes of St. Augustine and Jada Byers of St. Joe, shooting the cover photo. So that'll be coming out on August 29th. So get to your local Wawa and get that. Really can help you guide you through the whole season.
Or here's a novel idea. Be like Pete Thompson and actually subscribe to the newspaper and get it delivered right at your door at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, we'll take it either way.
I do apologize to my neighbors, when I'm, stumbling out in the morning in various states of morning clothing. But here we go, Mike. So let's do this. Let's do the high school stuff first, because first and foremost, and then we'll make sure we squeeze in a little time at the end to talk both Phillies and your precious Mets. All right, okay. So you said St. Joe and St. Augustine, two of the feature players. So why don't we start with St. Joe football? Because to me, spending my decade in Nebraska, now that I'm out here in New Jersey, I always think like St. Joe is like the little mini Nebraska of the old Cape Atlantic League and now the West Jersey Football League, because they don't rebuild, they reload.
Yeah, absolutely. They won their 20th state title last year, beating Holy Spirit in the state non-public 2 title game, 41-22 up at MetLife Stadium. Their 20th state title since the non-public playoffs statewide began in 1993. And St. Joe, again, you're looking at them probably starting number 1 in our Elite 11, just loaded at the skill positions. Jada Byers, 5'7", 170 pounds, but more than 1,700 yards rushing last year. Ahmad Ross at fullback, Jaden Shertell at quarterback. Keyshawn Griffin emerged as a Division I. He's at their tight end. He emerged as a Division I prospect over the season, over the summer. Baylor among the schools to offer him. Cole Mercado, a sophomore running back, wide receiver, promising. So St. Joe just loaded at the skill positions. They've got to replace some linemen, but, Coach Paul Sacco has been there. I believe this is his 38th season he's going into, and, he's made a living out of, helping 170-pound guys become outstanding linemen. So I don't have any worries there. But St. Joe, their talent at the skill positions, they're going to be a team you want to watch this season.
38th season, and he still calls you sir every time. Well, sir.
Exactly.
Doesn't it just make you chuckle every time that, he says that to you? Because you think, like, sir, like, we're colleagues. Like, come on, man.
Exactly. He's a unique guy. He's made a home there, obviously. He graduated from the school, does a great job there, one of the best programs in the state, regardless of sport. And they will, again, start the year as probably number 1 in our Press Elite 11. And, again, with that talent at the skill positions, they're going to be a team that's going to be exciting to watch and be very good again.
Well, I guess since we're, at a parochial school, we'll stay parochial to talk about Holy Spirit a little bit. And side note, Mike Gill always gets the chuckle that Holy Spirit PA announcer Andy Applegate is the only one that always says, "Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Pete Thompson." That's my Andy Applegate impression of him saying my name. But Holy Spirit looks like they might be okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you break down the South Jersey football scene, I think, 3 of the top 4, top 5 teams are going to be St. Joe, Holy Spirit, and St. Augustine. So Holy Spirit, more than okay. And again, it starts at the skill positions. Elijah Gray at running back, Isaiah Gerena at tight end, Ahmad Brown at wide receiver. So right there, opposing defenses, they're not going to be able to put 8 or 9 guys in the box to stop, Elijah Gray. They're not going to be able to, double team Ahmad Brown on the outside. They've got to watch out for Isaiah Gerena, a big tight end, 6'4" tight end, big, strong kid with Division I offers. They've got a sophomore, Trevor Cohen, taking over at quarterback. They've got outstanding players, a fast defense. 2 freshmen last year really impressed me. One of them was Michael Weaver, who started in the secondary last year for Holy Spirit as a freshman. He's back as a sophomore. From what I understand, he's looked like dynamite in preseason so far and really had a great game when Spirit scrimmaged Salem earlier this week. So he's a player to watch. So, again, Holy Spirit and St. Joe, they're kind of intertwined. They play in the regular season. They met in the state title game last year. Wouldn't be surprised if that same thing sort of played out this season.
All right, we'll get the third head of the Holy Trinity down here. You mentioned prep a couple times. Seems like just yesterday that Pete Lancetta was joining St. Augustine, and it was late in the year as far as the calendar goes of when he joined that program. But all of a sudden, this is 3 years for Pete Lancetta at the prep.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's kind of shaped the program in his image now. I believe, he told me they've got 80 kids out. He started a freshman team when he went out there, so they've got great numbers out there. And again, they've got talent. I mentioned Isaiah Rates. We talked about Jada Byers for St. Joe, kind of defies expectations. He's 5'7", 170. You don't think a guy that small is going to have the impact on the game that he can. Isaiah Rates does the same thing. He's 6'1", 315 pounds, committed to Texas A&M, but he doesn't play like a typical big man. Yeah, he's on the defensive line, a defensive tackle, wrecking havoc, but he's a guy that also gets the ball in the backfield, plays some fullback, will play some tight end this year, and he's just not a bowling ball running back there. He's got the ability to cut and make some moves and stuff like that. So, Jada Byers defies expectations at 170 pounds. Isaiah Rates does it at 315 pounds.
A lot of fun to look at those 3 schools. Now, somewhere out there's got to be a coach or a follower of high school football that's going, all right, Thompson, all right, McGarry, public schools, get on the public schools. I mean, I guess first and foremost, I will throw out the fact that I saw our colleague Dave O'Sullivan tweeting about the Mainland helmets. There's got to be more exciting things for Mainland than a new helmet, right?
Right. Mainland comes off a great year last year. They were 8-3, I believe. They had their first winning season since 2008, and they bring back a lot of talent from that team, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I really like a linebacker from Mainland, Drew DeMoret. Really, he played great last year. He was all over the field. Look for him to have another excellent season, and look for Mainland to kind of do what they did last year. I believe they won their WENJ-FM, West Jersey Football League division. I think it's the Independence division. They change these divisions every 2 years now, so it's kind of hard to keep up. But look for Mainland to contend for that division title. They made the playoffs last year. Look for them to do the same thing. And again, an excellent defense from Mainland, led by linebacker Drew DeMoret.
Yep, Independence Division, that's what you wrote. But I know that since you wrote so many, it gets a little confusing at times.
It can blend together a little bit.
Even to the author. All right, more public schools. Let's look in Cumberland County. You mentioned Vineland. Dan Russo, I always think, does a great job out there. Vineland, how do they look so far?
Yeah, Vineland, I think, is going to be another team to watch. Look for them to challenge St. Joe in that Continental Division, and look for Vineland to challenge in South Jersey Group 5. Dan Russo walked in there 4 or 5 years ago to a Vineland program that, was downtrodden, that people kind of laughed about, and he's turned it around. They had back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in nearly 20 years in 16 and 17, and last year they finished 5-6, but they won the first playoff game in school history, went to the South Jersey Group 5 semifinals, losing to eventual champion Williamstown. And Vineland's got some talent back, particularly at tight end and defensive back. Tyreen Powell, he's committed to Virginia Tech, but he also has an offer from Penn State out there. And they've got their quarterback back, Ryan Shelton. He impressed last year, broke his collarbone late in the season. And in fact, Tyreen Powell then shifted to quarterback and quarterbacked Vineland to their playoff win over Thompson North. But with Tyrone Powell and Ryan Shelton, two excellent players for Vineland. They've got a lot of other guys back. Look for the Fighting Clan to contend in South Jersey Group 5 this season.
And then, of course, you see Ryquell Armstead the other day on playing in the preseason game in the NFL. Millville football certainly has had a couple great years in the past 3, 4, 5 years. Dennis Thomas certainly isn't shy about talking about what they have to achieve this year.
Yeah, one of the things that I love covering Millville football, I love being on the Millville sideline. That's one of the perks of covering high school football, unlike covering the professional events where you're kind of confined to the press box. High school, you get to go out there on that sideline, and Coach Dennis Thomas, his enthusiasm on that sideline is really infectious. And he says, Millville graduated a ton of players. They don't return a lot of starters. They've got one of South Jersey's best players in Solomon DeShields back, wide receiver and linebacker who's committed to the University of Pittsburgh. But Coach Thomas has said, we're here, we work hard, and we're here. The goal remains the same, to win championships. If we don't, we don't. But we're not going to change expectations because we don't have the experienced players back. And Millville has some talent. They're just young. They've got a couple of good players, but they're certainly capable of beating any team on their schedule.
I must not have had blueberries on my cereal this morning because I skipped over Hamilton when I was going through public schools here. We can't leave out Jim Razzo's Blue Devils, right, and Hamilton and how they're going to be this year. And not for nothing, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City is with us talking high school football, which just gets me fired up. All right, tell me about Hamilton, Mike.
Yeah, I think Hamilton's a team that's, they haven't had a winning season since 2015, even though they made the South Jersey Group 4 final, and I believe it was 2017. They made a playoff run that year, finished 5-7, losing in the final to Shawnee. I think Hamilton played a lot of sophomores last year. I think Hamilton's a team that you're going to look to take a step forward. Jaden Abrams emerged as one of South Jersey's top running backs as a sophomore. He's a junior this year. He's sort of got that classic running back build. He's like 5'10", 180 pounds, so he can run you over and run away from you. Had a great season last year, over 1,500 yards. I think you got to look for Hamilton to sort of take a step forward, led by Abrams this season.
And Dennis Scuderi Jr., I always throw the junior in because, his dad is senior. Dennis Scuderi Jr. and Absegami, they finished last season on a decent note. Is Absegami going to be competitive this year?
Yeah, I think Absegami, just like Hamilton, is a team that's going to take a step forward. Absegami, they went to a freshman at quarterback last year, Ray Weed. He's back. He's a sophomore. Under Weed, they won their final 4 games, so they've got plenty of momentum coming into this season. Look for Absegami to sort of challenge they're in that division with Mainland, Egg Harbor Township, Bridgeton, Ocean City, Oakcrest. I think Absegami is a team that could win that division this year, led by Ray Weed. Great quarterback. He can run. He can throw the football. Tremendous athlete, tremendous wrestler last year as a freshman. He's back for his sophomore year. So look for Absegami behind Ray Weed to be another team like Hamilton that takes a step forward, challenges for division title and a playoff spot.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Find him on Twitter at AC Press McGarry. And like he says, that big preview in your paper of all the high school teams will come out on August 29th. So make sure you get to the Wawa or subscribe like the PT does. I promised you have baseball, just a little nugget of baseball. Were you up there last night, first and foremost? And secondly, are you buying into these Phillies now? Hey, that's 4 in a row.
Well, I was not up there last night. I was doing some high school football previews. Am I buying in? Cautiously optimistic. I mean, you had to have a feeling that a hot streak was going to happen. One thing that they've said, Reese Hoskins has said it seemingly all summer long, that though they've had a disappointing season to this point, the one thing they could take comfort in is they haven't gotten hot as hitters together. And that has certainly happened now, and it's sort of led them on this hot streak. How long it goes, who knows, but a hot streak at this time can do a lot of good. The question, as always, remains the pitching. Do they have the starting pitching to sort of sustain a long hot streak?